slaves were excluded. The first workers, real workers in this country. So our formulation of exclusion goes back many years. You know, there's more union members in the state of New York than there in all of the 11 southern states combined. More union members. So we have to recognize the special role that the South has, not only in the U.S. economy now, but also in the global economy. You know, we say the first border that industrial capitalism crossed was the Mason-Dixon. You know, they threatened the workers in the North and said, and if you don't work for cheaper wages, and if you don't give up tax rebates, we closing the plants and we going south. And there was an arrogance about northern workers, just like they have about workers in other countries. You going down there with them people down there, they're not able to do the work. You'll only be down there 3 or 4 years before you come running back. Like another country. When my mother went to Philadelphia from North Carolina, she said she had to learn how to speak properly, because she couldn't go down there and speak her actual language. So we know what migration is all about, brothers and sisters. You know, when we were told that we are acting uppity and these kinds of things, when we were told that, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 families lived in the same house, when we went up north, you know, same thing that they say to our brothers and sisters who are forced to come into this country. So we have that experience. I think the first margin of victory for us in North Carolina was to form a union in the first place. To form a public sector union where there had been no public sector unions formed. We formed a union in a state that denies workers the right to collective bargaining. Yes. Well, there's a view that you don't form unions when you don't have a right to collective bargaining. We say we got a right to fight. If collective bargaining is a substitution for fighting, in fact, you got to fight in order to have collective bargaining. And once you collectively bargain, you got to fight for the implementation of what you collectively bargain. I think it's very important. We used to have workers to come to us and say, this happened on our job, and this happened on our job. And you can say that's a violation of your rights. Well, we don't say that anymore, because we give the wrong impression. We give an impression that workers got rights that they don't have to now fight for rights. We have to fight in order to create changes that empower the workers. Not give the impression, you understand, that America is so democratic that it has rights already, because they don't have those rights.
That's right.
Too often, we're looking for a legal way to fight. If it's there, then you use it. But too often, when there's no legal way to fight, sometimes you think that there's no fight at all. Well, what are we going to do? Well, they say you got to choose between your job or your life sometimes. You got to choose to keep your job in spite of the fact that it might take your life. We say we love our children. We say we want them to be raised up. It means that we have to fight to defend our lives and to create conditions so the lives of our children are defended when they work here. When we talk about building a union, we're not talking about building an insurance company. An insurance company is somebody who pays their premium and looks for the insurance agent to do everything. We're building a social movement, a rank and file movement, a movement where workers have been used to be told by the boss that you do this or you get whipped. You do this or you get kicked off of the lane. You do this or you go to jail. This has been the history of our oppression here in the South. In North Carolina, on May 1st, 1997, we formed the North Carolina Public Service Workers Union. We formed that union mainly in the public sector because unions that have come down and they were trying to organize one shop at a time, one place at a time. We felt that you couldn't organize a movement if you're only organizing one place at a time. So we organized in the public sector where we had members at from the Black Workers for Justice and Allies, and we organized in a number of places in order to build a movement. We're still a small union. We got about 3,000 or so workers in about 17 locations in 12 counties and in 12 cities throughout the state of North Carolina. That's an infrastructure for the workers' movement. That's an infrastructure that begins the process not only to raise economic consciousness, but to raise political consciousness, to enable the working class to understand that these employers, they come into our community.
That's right, that's right.
In the Black Workers, we say that those companies came into our community.
That's right, that's right.
So we have a responsibility to make sure that we got structures in those workplaces if they are in our community.
That's right.
Self-determination must mean that the workers must have some power. If we're talking about self-determination, and we're not talking about workers having some power over the economy that they produce to ensure that the economy helps to develop the community in ways that need to be developed, then we ain't talking about self-determination.
That's right.
We also recognize that self-determination requires that workers have organizations. Let me make one or two small points, and I'll sit down. When industries started to restructure, capital started to restructure, and started to set up branch plants in the South, shows you the poor job that the trade union movement has had. As a part of the working class consciousness, they did not exist in the industrial consciousness. Workers who worked in the windshield factory, they thought they was a part of the windshield industry. Workers who made tailpipes, they thought they were part of the tailpipe industry. They didn't understand themselves as being part of the auto industry.
That's right.
This is a part of the education that has to be built in the South in order to build a trade union movement.
That's right. That's right.
Other point, we're building new unions, brothers and sisters. We call it new trade unionism. Those new unions might initiate through worker centers. They initiate through independent organizations. Nobody wants the Black liberation movement to understand that trade unions are also a part of our history. When we learned about Frederick Douglass, we were never told that he was the vice president of the Colored National Labor Union.
See there?
In 1869. We just hear that he was a great orator. But if we understood that, we would also understand that during Reconstruction, and the reason why we wanted Reconstruction was so that the organization of the working class could blossom and so we could have power then. We want democracy in order to create the space to empower and to organize ourselves as working people.
That's right.
I'm sure we can talk about some more things. Race is very, very central. Race is very, very central.
That's right.
The South is special, not just because of the region that it's located in, it is because of the history of the oppression of Black people in the South.
That's right.
55% of black people are in the South today.